In January, Oxfam reported that more than half of the world's wealth will be owned by just 1% of the population by next year as global inequality soars. The richest 80 individuals in the world have the same wealth as the poorest 50% of the entire population, some 3.5 billion people. This was an even bigger concentration at the top than a year ago, when half the world's wealth was in the hands of 85 of the ultra-rich. The current growth patterns are skewed against the poor and will leave 266 million below the $1.25 poverty line in Africa alone. Policy watchers have concluded that achieving a successful outcome in 2015 will not be easy. This is because the world is not experiencing the best of times for international cooperation.
Many of these countries put money where there's strategic interests. And this is a problem because we know money goes to go to places where they're not even needed. Nigeria, for instance, does not need donor money. Yes, up till this day, total donor funding in Nigeria is less than 1% of our GDP. So basically, we really can survive without it. Now the question is that with all the resources that we have access to, how have we used them? And this is one of the things we're talking about to say, if you're not transparent in how you expend your resources, if as citizens we are not able to track the resources from the source to where it is being used, there will always be a problem. So the FFD provides a framework within which you can plug in your national resource management system into a global framework that guarantees that citizens will benefit from the resources that are available domestically.
A sustained data revolution is needed to drive social, economic, and structural transformation in every African country. Such a revolution will also make it easier to track countries' progress towards meeting national and globally agreed sustainable development goals, with a view to leave no one behind. The lack of data on key issues such as governance, peace and security, environmental sustainability, gender, and human rights.
If you are trying to improve the lives of people and you don't even know who the people are, how are you going to allocate resources effectively? And so we are asking them to say, our national statistical system, for instance, is so underfunded to the point where whatever you put in there, they will tell you today, MDG is this level. From this level, it moved to this level. The truth of the matter is that everybody has a different baseline. By that, I mean, if you ask University of Ibadan to give you the baseline today, different thing. NBS give you a different baseline. Researchers give you a different baseline. What is that? So first of all, you need to know how many people live in this country, their states, the way their status in terms of their poverty index and all that. And then you can plan programs that will improve their lives, and you will have it on record that their lives have been improved. And this is glaring everywhere. So transparent resource management, investment in data, provision of access to basic services, these are simple things that we are asking that this financing framework should guide every individual country, including Nigeria, to plug into. And then you know that after 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you will see that, oh, I have made progress from point A to point B.
A major sticking point for the summit is a standoff over a push by the G77 developing countries to upgrade a United Nations tax body, which they hope would set new global rules to crack down on tax dodging, mainly by multinationals. Nearly $1 trillion in illicit finance flowing from tax evasion, crime and corruption is estimated to leave poor countries each year, according to Global Financial Integrity, a policy research group. For every dollar in aid going into a developing country, $10 is lost via these illicit outflows, it says. The G77 wants the current UN Tax Committee to be upgraded to a political body with more power and money. The proposal is fiercely opposed by the rich countries of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which drew up the current tax rules. While aid is needed to support development in the world's poorest states, many fast-growing developing countries will be able to meet a large part of the financing gap themselves if rules around tax and investment are reformed, experts say.
Over $1 trillion leaves developing countries every year to illicit financial flows. Through phantom companies, people who are just moving with portfolios, but they're moving monies all around. And they're helping to siphon billions of dollars out of this continent, Africa. And these are the things we're saying. When you have the right framework, you'll be able to report, for instance, every business doing business in Nigeria, how their tax rating, their tax situation can be put in a specific framework that the whole world sees. And this in itself will turn to lock in resources within the countries that can be used to do development. So these are the kind of things we're asking the whole government to say, plug into this global framework so that you cannot be alone in this business.
Developing countries attract more than 50% of foreign direct investment worldwide, but from less than 20% in 1990. That is according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
You look at the SDGs, there are lots of things that has to be done within all of that. Can we link them also to what goals we're having in the climate document and see how we begin to look at that based on what we want to do in terms of our own development, industrialization, and all of that. We have to be very much realistic and put that on the table. And in also putting that on the table, we have to understand that, it will affect some relationships. So that's, some of the dynamics of some of these discussions. And you then begin to say, okay, what if this affects A or B? What will be the implications in the long run? We have to take all of that into consideration.
Sustainable Development Goals.
The third International Conference on Financing for Development is the first of 3 crucial events this year that can set the world on an unprecedented path to a prosperous and sustainable future. Its outcome provides a strong foundation for countries to finance and adopt the proposed Sustainable Development Agenda in New York in September and to reach a binding agreement at the United Nations climate negotiations in Paris in December that will reduce global carbon emissions.
Seriously, things have changed because, between 2010 and now, strategies have changed in terms of what's happening. I think, the negotiations and, the development of some of these documents has also been very much inclusive. So I am hoping that by September and by December, we would have a document that we can all claim ownership of. And we might not have all we want in that document, but in the end, can we begin to look at some of the things we can relate to in those documents and begin to sync them with our national realities, not only at the federal level, at the state and at the local government level. Because development would have to happen at the state and local government level. So can we begin to also use these discussions, these documents to discuss with government, state governments, local government, government chairmen, on how best they can begin to tap into these to develop their own environment and their own communities.
Close to 150 world leaders will adopt the new goals at the Sustainable Development Summit in New York this September. Well, that's our program for the week. Thank you for watching. Do join us next week if you could. But in the meantime, our inbox @channelstv.com is always available for your comments, questions, or ideas you would like us to pursue. From all of us here in Lagos, it's bye for now.